Good morning, everyone. I will now call the hearing to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. This morning, I will be chairing the hearing. My name is Mr. Hutchings. On my direct left is Ms. Brillinghurst. On my far left is Mr. McIntyre. Representing the Assessment and Taxation Department, City of Winnipeg, is Ms. Santucci, and our secretary today is Ms. Balshaw. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit the discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor may make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by this Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed further to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with this board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by cross-examination by the appellant first and then the panel members, and then the appellant's testimony followed by cross-examination by the assessor first and then the panel members. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions based on evidence presented here today. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible, as information on public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. And can everybody please make sure their cell phones are on complete silence. Thank you. Could you swear in the applicant and the assessor, please?
Please state your name.
Brittany Santucci.
Do you swear the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Douglas Becker.
Do you swear the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kara. Good morning, Mr. Betker, Ms. Santucci. We are going to start with 335 Main Street. We're dealing with a 2020 realty assessment. I understand there is a preliminary issue or an issue we're going to deal with to start with that'll be relevant for all properties on the docket today. Is that right, Mr.
Sure.
Betker?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Ms. Santucci, how are we going to do this?
My question is, if everybody on the board has heard Altus' presentation regarding the non-recoverables, I don't want to beat a dead horse. So, basically our position is that it's not for management, it's for non-recoverable expenses, and everybody has read our report. And that we asked today that it be applied for all of these properties that we're here today. We're asking for 2% for structural land, but 7% in total for non-recoverables.
Okay. Ms. Santucci?
And then I guess our take on it is that we've analyzed the income and expense data differently from previous years, and after analyzing it, we've determined that the 2% we feel is applicable for the non-recoverable expenses. And that's what we've applied to all of our briefs.
Okay. Okay, and
In our study is there, if anybody would like to reread it.
yeah, we should have it submitted for evidence.
It's
It's
part
it.
of your
His
evidence.
is
Oh,
That's
part of,
already,
already there, okay.
I guess the only thing we have to add is that we had in there a 1994 assessment manual. Apparently it was only a draft, and so we removed that. Well, we're not discussing the 94 manual anymore, and we are not including it in our future submissions, but we do have 1998 manual evidence that's exactly the same that we have presented. That's coming in the newer one, so.
Okay. Thanks, Doug.
Okay.
And Brittany, this is rebuttal to what Mr.
To what
Becker
they've-
has just spoken to?
Yes.
Okay. All right, did you want to go over it, or I think you've summarized it?
I think so. I think the biggest difference is the 7 and the 2 and the
Yeah.
way we've analyzed it and they've analyzed it.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, first property on the docket is 335 Main Street. And again, a 2020 Realty appeal. Ms. Santucci, when you are ready, please, 335 Main Street.
This is roll number 12093, 823000, address 335 Main Street. This building, the actual year built is 1910. We have applied of a effective age of 1960. The gross floor area is 66,945 square feet, and we have a leasable of 38,458 square feet. If you turn to page 2, I just have some aerial shots that shows the property located at the corner of Portage and Main. If you flip to page 3, I have some interior photos that were taken September 9, 2017 by a coworker. Just shows the main floor there. If you turn to page 4, there's a few more of the main floor and the basement area. Page 5 shows a few more at the top of the basement, the second floor and mezzanine areas. Page 6 just shows the third floor office space. And then if you flip to page 7, we just have the request for income expense information. No sale history, then no subject property leases. If we flip to page 8, I just have the bank income stream. So we have a leasable area of 33,160. We've applied a rental rate of $14.07. For the basement office area, we have a leasable area of 5,298 square feet with a rental rate of $5.89. And then overall, for the 38,458 square feet, we have $12.93. In the income valuation, we've applied a vacancy loss of 2%. Again, our expenses are at 2%, shortfall at $8 per square foot. Our overall capitalization rate is 7.2%, and the estimated capitalized value is $6,550,000. If we go to page 9, I have submitted some bank comparables here. Comparables 1, 5, 9 to 11, 13, and 17 are our older actual year builds. Those range from about $14.89 to $27. The average of all 17 comps is $26.82. And just to note, I think here, most of the banks with the effective year built under 1990 have about $20 net per square foot. If we flip to page 10, I just have the income value summary here. Page 11 is our capitalization rates. 12 is the Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. And then page 13 is the income and expense questionnaire, just an owner-occupied building. And my recommendation is to just maintain the 2020 assessed value of the $6,550,000. Thank you, that's my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Santucci. Mr. Becker, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
Yes, I have a few. This was basically, it was built in 1910?
Yes,
Okay, and it's had some renovations?
yes.
And it has a heritage designation?
From my understanding, it's,
And there's no parking on site, et cetera?
no.
And the building itself, if I look at page 3, the interior pictures of the main floor, you don't see buildings like this built anymore, do you, with a large open area like that?
No, I wouldn't think that's a comment.
It's not very functional, is it? Okay, if I asked you to turn to your workup on page 8, the cap rate is 7.20, where is that from?
It would have been model drive from our income and, the income expense we've reviewed to come up with NOIs. I didn't state whereabouts it would be found in our capitalization rates. But I guess it would range from 5.55 to 9.05 for cap rates first.
Okay, are you aware of any heritage buildings or old banks that have sold since the
No.
last reference? You're aware that the last reference date cap rate was 8?
Yes, but we also had a different NOI applied, so, NOI.
But there's no actual sales of banks?
I'm unsure, I never looked at all the sales
Okay.
that were taken into account, but
Would the heritage designation have any effect on the risk? If you have to maintain the facade and the interior on the main floor, would that limit its use?
that could be a factor for risk.
All right, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Betker. Marla, any questions of the assessor?
No, I don't have any right now.
Thank you. Brent, any questions?
Just one, if you turn to page 11, which line are you looking at as far as the source for the cap rate?
I think I was looking at the retail. The office suburban B, I think I was looking at. There's a large range.
Okay, that's fine.
Anything else, Brent?
No, that's it.
Okay. Just to clarify, on page 9, you made a comment about older, the rent comparables.
Yeah.
You made a comment about older buildings, what they're renting for per square foot average. What was the range? I had $20.
Oh, so most of the ones that were the actual year built under 1990 were like $20 or under. I
Okay,
think I had one that was maybe a bit higher, but that was just the one.
okay. And to confirm, your average rental rate is $12.93.
The overall for this specific property.
That's all my questions. Mr. Betker, when you're ready, please.
Okay, if I could ask the board to turn to page 4, please. Just under property description, the subject property is a Bank of Montreal, originally constructed in 1911. 1974, restoration work was done to the interior and exterior of the building, and in 1976, a new heating system was installed. The leasable areas, we have the same leasable areas, the assessor, we have 5298 in the basement, 11,912 on the main, and then we have 6292 on the mezzanine, 8,974 on the second, and 5,982 square feet on the third, for a total leasable area of 38,458. The improvement situated on a 17,480 square foot parcel of land located at the east side of Main at the corner of Portage. The land to building ratio is low at 1 to 4.67. There is no on-site parking. On the next page, page 5, under market rent, based on our analysis of rent, we feel that the overall rent applied by the assessor is fair, and we are using that rent in our valuation as well. At the top of page 6, under vacancy, the subject has been assessed with a 2% vacancy allowance. As mentioned in the property description, this building is older and has a heritage designation. The main banking hall has high ceilings and the office areas on the upper floors are small. Most standalone banks are smaller in size and can be converted to other uses with little or no expense. The subject would have limited uses and would most likely remain vacant for a long period of time. For our valuation, we will use a typical retail rate of 6.0%. If the subject was not a bank, it would most likely be a Class C or D office building and would receive a vacancy rate of 10.5 or 14%. The only bank I'm aware of that was similar to this that sold is the Millennium Center, and that one sat vacant for many years. In fact, in 1999, I think we looked at that building when I was with the assessment department as possibly moving in there because it was beside the Hamilton building. So I feel that there's a lot of risk if this one does go vacancy, and therefore I'm using a retail rate of 6%. For shortfall, we'll be using the assessor's $8 per square foot. And for non-recoverable expenses, we're using a total of 7%. Now for the capitalization rent, as I mentioned when I was asking just had to see some questions. For the last go around, the assessment department had used a capitalization rate of 8% on this property. And the capitalization rate now is 7.2%. And we're unaware of any buildings like the subject with this designation that were a bank that sold. So we're not sure why there would have been a decrease in the capitalization rate. And if I could ask the board to turn to page 10. Now this is, it's not a great sample of sales, but it is what we were able to find and had enough information to try to derive some capitalization rates. But if you go to the second from the bottom, it's 259 Portage Avenue, and that's the Paris building. And it does have a historical designation, and based on the 2015 sale, it had a capitalization rate of 8.87%. So if I could ask the board to turn to page 12. Under the capitalization rate for the subject, the rate applied by the assessors mentioned earlier is 7.2%. And for last year, it was, for the last go-around, based on the April 16 value, it was 8%. We feel that there's no compression, and especially for a type of building that's a heritage designation, we will maintain the 8% in our valuation. Page 13 is our valuation sheet. It shows that we're using the same rent as the assessor, but we're going with a 6% vacancy, 7% for non-recoverables, and an 8% cap, and we come up to a value of $5,205,000. If I could ask the board to turn to page 18. This is for the last go around, the 2018, and there was a recommendation to reduce the assessment to $6,207,000. And as you can see on page 19, the rent used by the assessor was higher, but it was getting 2%, 7%, and an 8% cap rate. And on page 21, the board reduced it to the assessor's recommendation based on adjusted rents. And if I could get the board to turn to page 23, just on the top here, it says, at the southeast corner, Portage Main stands Bank of Montreal, a landmark created by America's leading neoclassics, McKim, Mead, and White, and their only Winnipeg building. The structure occupies a unique place in Bank of Montreal corporate architect. It's classical and unadorned. Simplicity make it prime example of that institution's particular style. In here is, it's a designation 2, on the next page, on page 24. It has a designated grade 2 heritage on May 7th, 1980, and under the 2, the objects are to preserve the entire exterior of the building, erection, or structure, and such of its interior elements as are specified in the listing, and to ensure that all repairs thereof are appropriate to their special architectural or historical interest, and to prevent or regulate demolition, removal, alteration, or repair of the remainder of such interior in a manner described in section 5C. Now what their defining elements are the bank vaults, the main banking hall, the northwest curved staircase, northwest corner office on the mezzanine floor, and the marble fireplaces in office and boardroom mezzanine floor. Then on page 25, we have, this is an article that was written by Art Mellon in regards to heritage buildings, and I've highlighted the points that I'd like to make. And on page 25, it's got the commercial real estate world holds no special place aside to honor old structure. It is location and function that determine value. Rarely does the magnificence of a 19th century facade translate into increased rent. As tenants and uses change, the imposition of current building and safety codes diminishes the utility of heritage buildings. On the last paragraph, what we should have learned from recent past is that an old building rarely, if ever, increases in value sufficiently to repay loans from increases in realty taxes. On the next page, the second paragraph, honorifics can bolster pride but restrict opportunity. We need ways to compensate private owners for taking away their usual ability to alter, redesign, or demolish a building. And then down at the two-thirds of the way down, if conserving the heritage elements of building is in the public's interest, then the owner should be compensated for increased costs of maintenance and decreased value. So based on its age, the type of building, and our parameters, I'm suggesting that we reduce the 2020 assessment from 6,550,000 to 5,205,000. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Betker. Ms. Santucci, any questions of the appellant's evidence?
So for 2018, you brought up in putting your brief the workup, which you agreed the NOI is higher, and then there is a higher cap rate to reach the $6.8 million that was determined at the 2018 Board of Revision.
Actually, it was page 20 where they show this is where, how the workup was to get to 6 million.
Or 6 million, two.
Yeah, so the rent was approximately 50,000 higher.
And then this year, the requested assessment is the $5,205,000. So that's about a 16% decrease. I'm just wondering, is there something that's happened besides the fact that it's a heritage building that has caused the value to decrease that much overall?
My opinion, maybe the 6.2 was a little high.
Okay. Is the 2018 realty value, has that been appealed to the municipal board?
You know, I didn't check, I don't know.
Okay. From my understanding, it wasn't. And then on page 5, again, you've just agreed that our rental rate is correct. You've provided no analysis for rent. Okay. I think that is all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Marla, any questions of the appellant?
No, I have no questions.
Thank you. Brent, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Betker, you relied on the assessor's market evidence for the rents, and you agreed with them, so you relied, I guess you felt that it was fair based on
Oh, yeah,
that.
there's
Okay.
no contention.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask maybe both of you. I'll ask you first, at $13 a square foot compared to the market evidence, does it seem on the low side?
Not because of the upper floors
Okay,
and the basement, part of the basement, the overall includes a basement at 5 something.
yeah,
And a lot of times if you're renting a building like that, the basement would be thrown in, but you wouldn't add that to the leasable area. And if you look at the spaces, you got the second, third, and fourth, there's small little offices to the side, et cetera. I just think it would have limited
use
rental.
okay. Ms. Santucci?
I think it could be a bit lower, but that's what our, the information provided us, applied to this for the model, so.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And I have no other questions. Any requirement for summary? Ms. Santucci? No. Mr. Betker? Okay. That concludes 335 Main Street. Next property on the docket is 121 Disraeli Freeway. And we're dealing with a 2020 realty assessment. Ms. Santucci, when you are ready, please.
This is roll number 13096, 054000, address 121 Disraeli Freeway. The actual year built of this building is 2006. The gross floor area and leasable area are 6,135 square feet. If you turn to page 2, you can just see the location of the subject property. Page 3 just shows some exterior photos. Page 4 just shows the request for information. Obviously, there's a sale there that we won't be taking into consideration. Page 5 is our workup. We have applied $26.06 to the 6,135 square feet. We've applied the vacancy of 2%, expenses of 2%, and an overall capitalization rate of 8.15%, for a capitalized value of $1,872,000. Page 6 is my rent comparables. Again, the average is the $26.82. Most of the buildings built after 1990 have the higher rents that can range anywhere from low 20s to the highest at 45, which I think is the newest built building of my comparables, which is comparable 15. If we turn to page 7, just the income value summary. Page 8 is our capitalization rates. Page 9 is the Municipal Assessment Act excerpts, and if I flip to page 10, we just have the income and expense questionnaire that was submitted to us. And this one is an owner, as of page 13, owner occupied building, no tenants. And then just, again, 15 confirms fully owner occupied. That would be it. My recommendation is to maintain the 2020 assessed value of $1,870,000. Thank you, that's my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Betker, any questions of the assessor?
Yes, I have a couple. On page 1, you have the description of the property, and it's 2 stories?
Yes, that's what it says here.
Okay, so the main floor is 4,636 square feet, and the balance would be the second floor office space?
Yes, we only have it as the one rental rate, so.
Okay. The location of this is quite different, is it not?
It's at the, yeah, at the corner of, I guess what would lead onto the bridge.
Yeah, not a lot of foot traffic compared to, say, something in Portage, Maine, or,
I would say it's awful, but it's definitely not the same as Portage and Maine.
okay. And your cap rate is 8.15 this
Yeah.
one around?
That would be our market derived cap rate.
And on page 6, your comparable rents that you've used. Number 4, 895 Empress. That's actually a 2-story bank,
That would be the, yes.
okay? Because that's right by Polo Park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that one's a 2-story, so their paid rent is $24.51 for all floors.
That would be applied, yes.
Okay, and the one right underneath it, 230 Portage, that's also 2 stories?
Yes, that would be an older 2-story.
Yeah, it's the Western Bank, yeah. Okay, and that $15 would be to the total leasable area.
That's total.
And if I go down to number 10, that's also a 2-story, 2030 Corden. It's a TD Bank.
Yes.
Okay, so for the ones that are 2 stories, the number 4 has a overall rent for $24.51, the next one is 15, and then the one at number 10 is 18.
That would be correct.
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Betker. Brent, any questions of the assessor?
Just one, I've turned to page 2. Do they lease any of those parking spots adjacent to the next property?
They do have an expense related to parking, and they state that they have 33 stalls. As per the mailer, we don't have any information that they're leasing.
That they're leasing?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not sure.
That was it.
Thank you. Marla, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. And I have no questions either. Mr. Betker, when you're ready, please.
Okay, if I could ask the board to turn to page 2. As mentioned by Mr. Santuski, it's built in 2006, it's 2 stories. Total leasable area, including the main and second, is 6,135 square feet. And we're suggesting a 2020 assessment of $1,663,000. On to page 3, a brief description. Subject property consists of a 2-story bank, building, retail offices on the main floor, offices on the second floor. Located at 121 Disraeli Freeway, at the corner of Disraeli Freeway and Lilly Street. The improvements were constructed in 2006. We understand that the main floor is 4,636 square feet, and the second floor office space is 1,499 square feet. The land is 25,419 square feet and is zoned M multiple. We were advised that there are structural issues associated with the building that has caused significant shifting, with an estimated cost incurred between $300,000 and $350,000. I don't have any paperwork to back that up. I think it might be going to court, so I can't I wasn't able to get any of the papers. If I could ask the board to turn to page 5, under market rent. The assessor has applied a market rent of $25.72 per square foot to the entire leasable area of 10,456 square feet. Subject property is owner occupied, and we have reviewed the following rent comparisons. First one is on Pembina Highway. It's 1996, its area is 4,500 square feet, and it has a 2016 lease of $27 per square foot. The second one on Keewatin, index number 2 is a credit union that was constructed in 1989 and is located on Keewatin Street and has a March 1st, 2018 to February 28th, 2020 lease for $24 for 3,209 square feet. This building is 1 story. Index number 3 is a National Bank constructed in stages from 1952 to 1995 with an effective age of 1970. This property is part basement, main, and second. The overall rental area is 12,195 square feet, and there is an August 15th to August 20th lease in effect for $19.83 per square foot overall. This property is located on a main thoroughfare. The subject property is newer than the comparison. It is on the edge of a major thoroughfare, but is not easily accessible. Based on the comparisons, we feel a market rent would be $29 per square foot on the main, $14.50 on the second, for an overall rent of $25.46 per square foot. The subject has been assessed a 2% vacancy allowance, and we will use that in our valuation as well. Shortfall, we're using the assessor's $8 per square foot. For non-recoverables, we're using 7%. Now, the capitalization rate, I won't go through it all, but if we go to page 12, the capitalization rate applied by the assessor is 8.15% in connection with the 2020 assessment. This represents a compression of 85 basis points from the rate of 9% applied in connection with the 2018 assessment. Given the market indicators suggest that there has been no compression in capital rates between April 1/16 and April 1/18, and due to the structural problems with the property, we submit that the lowest rate that should be used for the subject would be 8.5%. Therefore, we're using 8.5% in our valuation. Page 13 shows my workup. We got the main at $29, the second at $14.50, and for a total overall rent of $25.46 a square foot. We've applied, I put up management there, but 2% for vacancy, but our total non-recoverables is 7%. Capitalization rate of 8.5, we come up with a value of $1,663,000 rounded. In the appendix, we just have the assessor's workup on 16, and on 18 we have the 2018 workup using a 9% cap rate. And based on my evidence, I request the board to reduce the 2020 assessment from $1,872,000 to $1,663,000. Open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Ms. Santucci, any questions of the appellant?
Yes, so on page 3, you talk about the structural issues. You said there's no evidence, and have they ever mentioned to our department about this?
I don't know.
No? Okay. And then just in regards to the capitalization rate, in regards to your evidence, what would be, in your brief here, the evidence for the 8.5%?
I can go over that we feel there's no compression.
Just the no compression from last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Very good, yes.
Yeah, that's all my questions.
Were you gonna show us the evidence on that?
Oh.
or-
I did.
Oh, no.
No, okay. Are you okay?
Yes,
Okay,
thank
thank you. Thank you. Okay, Brent, any questions of Mr. Becker?
Just one, if you turn to page 5, and this is just a typo error, I think. You're showing the leasable area is 10,456. Yet on page 13, it's 6135.
Oh,
Just-
yes, sorry.
6135?
It's exactly, yes.
That was the only question.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
61. So your rents are nearly the same, a little bit, $3,000 difference in potential rent. But applying the 7%, we come up with a difference in the NOI of about 9,000, and then the cap rate's a little bit
Yes.
different, okay? All right, to summarize. Thank you, okay. Any requirement for summary? Ms. Santucci, no. Mr. Becker?
That's it, thank you.
Good, okay. All right, that concludes 121 Disraeli Freeway. Next property on the docket is 934 Portage Avenue. And we're dealing with a 2020 realty assessment. Ms. Santucci, when you are ready, please.
Thank you. This is roll number 12081878000. This is what would be a drive-up bank, I guess a kiosk, that was built in 1991. It's only about 30 square feet. The land area here is 11,907 square feet, and for this property, we have assessed it on land value. If you flip to page 2, you can just see the aerial shots of the lot. A nice rectangular lot here, fronting onto Portage. On page 3, just a shot of the kiosk from the street. On page 4, I've just included our land valuation, which was the 11,907 square feet, times our net rate per square feet of $46.28, to come to a land value of $551,000. I've included 3 land comparables here. My comparable one is also located on Portage Avenue. This is a sale 6 years prior to the reference date of April 1st, 2018. It is a larger lot at the 33,537 square feet with commercial zoning, and sold for a sale price of $37.39 per square foot. My comparable 2 is also located on Portage Avenue in the Westwood area. This sold 4 years prior to the reference date in 2014. Again, this is a larger size lot, 42,700 square feet. Zone commercial for about $39.58. My comparable 3 is also located on Portage Avenue. This one sold 2 years prior to the reference date. This one would be the most similar to the subject, still larger at the 23,201 square feet. Zone commercial for about $43.96. None of these have been time adjusted, but as you can see, from 2012 to 14 to 16, the rates have gone up. The average for these rates is about $40.31. If you turn to page 5, I just have the Municipal Assessment Act excerpts, and then page 6 to 10 would just be the income expense mailers we received, just to show this land is fully owner occupied. It's pretty much just vacant land with a drive-through ATM. I think that's about it for the mailers. And my recommendation is to maintain the 2020 assessed value of $551,000. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Santucci. Mr. Becker, any questions of the assessor?
Yes, just a couple. So your average rate was $40, and you're using 46.28.
Yes, that would be the average of the non-time adjusted sales. Technically, our model would reflect, I'm thinking of time like it would obviously have increased in value, but that's just the average for the 3 older sales I have.
Comparison number 1, I couldn't find, I guess it's been developed. Comparison number 2, that's actually has 218.63 lineal feet of frontage on Portage, and it was bought by the car dealership beside it.
Yes.
And one is 1721 Portage, as far as I know, it's still vacant land. That one has 215 feet of frontage.
Yes.
Would, on Portage Avenue, the more frontage, would probably more exposure would be more valuable?
Possible. Other lots have been developed into smaller retail units.
Okay, we don't have any of those sales.
I don't have those, no.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Marla, any questions of the assessor?
No.
Okay, thank you. Brent?
Again, if you turn to page 2, there's a row of vehicles that are parked there. There's no parking income.
There's nothing reported in the income and expense mailer.
Okay, that was the only question.
Thank you. Okay. So to summarize, Ms. Santucci, you're saying that looking at the economy of scale on these larger properties plus time adjustments, in your opinion, the land values have gone up since these sales had occurred in
Yes.
2012 to 16. That justifies the
The
4628.
46,
Okay, and that's what your model is
Yes, that's what our
analyzing
model's
and
determined.
producing, okay. And regarding Mr. McIntyre's question on page 2, the building directly east on the corner of Lenore and, is that a,
It's
like,
not
it
a
looks like there's.
bank, it's an actual, at first I thought it was, but it's just an office building.
Yeah, but there is a 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
5, 6 parking spaces, less the traffic circle for using the ATM, I guess, drive-through ATM, right?
Yeah.
Any knowledge of what those parking spaces are
I
for?
have no knowledge from the previous income and expense mailers or notes. We'd have to look into it more
Okay,
from what they've provided to us, that's all we have.
all right. Thank you very much, that's all my questions. Mr. Becker, when you are ready, please.
I just get you to turn to page 5. I've got a list of sales here. And they go from 2010 up to 2018. And they range, most of them are in Portage, one is on McGilvery, and the last one is on Henderson Highway. And our sales, this is not time adjusted as well, and we range from a roll of 2601, which actually, Ms. Santucci for that one, 3600, has a newer sale on that one in 2014 for $39.58 a square foot. And based on all those sales, and the assessment department is using 46, we're suggesting a rate of 38. I guess in comparison, to me, if you're on Portage Avenue, the 3600 Portage is sold in 14 for $39.58. I think the 46 is higher. It's an older part of Portage Avenue. I don't think it would attract the same interest as something out in the 3600 block of Portage, which is developed closer to Unicity, etc. I feel that $38 is a fair rate per square foot, and I'm suggesting a value of $452,000. That's my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Ms. Santucci, any questions of the appellant?
Yes. In regards to your comparable number 4, that's a smaller assessed square foot, and then also that one has the smaller frontage.
Correct.
And then, to your knowledge, has that lot been developed since that
I
sale?
don't know.
Okay. That one actually has been developed into a retail unit. So only 2 of your sales are after 2014.
Yes.
The rest of them are quite farther back from the reference
Yeah.
date.
I was trying to stay on Portage,
Okay.
so I was very
Yeah.
limited.
And then for the McGilvery one, that one's actually zoned agricultural.
Correct.
Okay, and then that one's, is it still zoned, or has it been developed, do you know?
It's in that area close to the new housing development, but it hasn't been developed
Okay.
yet.
And then your final sale, Henderson, is that not post-reference?
You know, I was just looking at that, yes. I always look to see whether they're using the month first or the day first sometimes. But
No
this,
worries.
in this situation, we're using the month, so that is post reference, yes.
And then you do agree that the 2 sales you used compared to the 2 ones I used, they did increase in value between the sale dates. That they originally sold to the, for example, the 3600 Portage went from $26 to about $39, and that was over
Roughly 8 years.
8 years, and then was it $17.21, also increased from $28 to $43.
Which one's that?
1721 Portage. That one sold 5 years after.
Yes.
Okay. And then, to your knowledge from the owner, do they rent the parking stalls out? Do you have any knowledge of that?
No,
Or who's using them? Okay.
I don't.
Okay, thank you, that's all my questions.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant?
No questions.
Thank you. Brent, any questions?
Of course. You should turn to page 5. The way the table reads right now, it is identical to what the assessor submitted on page 4 of her brief in terms of average per square foot.
No, that bottom line is actually with the subject, which is assessed at.
Oh, so you never did calculate it?
I didn't be calculating average, no.
Okay, that's fine.
Anything else, Brent?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bedker, so, economies of scale and then time adjustments.
Yes.
You're saying that bringing it up $38 a square foot reconciles those two features compared to your,
It would be just my guesstimate, I guess, of what it would sell for on a square foot.
yeah.
I mentioned I tried to get sales in Portage, but it was very limited as to finding anything of similar size in that area.
Any opinion on, I'm just looking at the, let's say majority of them are around 2012, 2011. Any opinions on how much land value has gone up since those sales?
Well, if we look at 3600 Portage, it went up roughly, I guess, about 50%, no, about 40%. So if I looked at that, but again, it'd be subjective because of area, where it is, the frontage, the zoning, et cetera, so I don't have a time adjustment percentage.
Yeah, okay. I was just asking your professional.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay, so you're saying that subject property is located, I guess just west of Arlington, am I right? And all the other sales are further west. Some of them are in the 3000 block, and 3 of them in the approximately 1800 block, which would be around 1800 Portage Avenue. Where would that?
Close to, you know where the entrance to the park is?
Yes,
I think it'd be around there.
like the walking bridge at.
Yeah, I guess City of St. James used to have their office at 2000 Portage.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right, yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would those, so they were commercial development,
Yep.
I guess?
Yeah, there's a couple of strips there, there's Sergeant's Sunday in that area around there.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
So that concludes 934 Portage Avenue. You know what, I'm gonna ask for a quick recess here for about, we'll be back at 10 o'clock, 10 minutes or so. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good morning. I'll call the hearing back to order. And we're dealing with, I can't see my glasses, with 1038 Keewatin Street, dealing with a 2020 assessment, realty assessment, pardon me, and Ms. Santucci, when you are ready, please.
Thank you. So this is roll number 14096 810500, address 1038 Keewatin Street. This is a bank. The actual year built is 1989. We have the gross floor area as 3,188 square feet. If you turn to page 2, you can see where the bank is situated on Keewatin Street here. Page 3 is just an exterior photo of the bank. Page 4 just shows the income and request for income information. There's been no sale history and no subject property leases on this page. On page 5, we just have the income workup. have the so leasable area, 3,180 square feet, with the rental rate per square foot of $22.33. We have the vacancy loss as 2%, again, expenses at 2%, and the overall capitalization rate at 5.75%. For a capitalized value of $1,191,000. So on page 6, I just have my rent comparables. So the subject was at the 2233. Again, my average is the 2682. The property was built in 1989. We actually have a couple banks. Comparable 10 is 1989 at $18. Comparable 17, actually you're built 1989 at $24. And then the 1990 comparable 2 at $27. So those would be the closest in actual year built. If you turn to page 7, it's just my income value summary. Page 8 is again the capitalization rates derived from properties that have sold by dividing each property's net operating income by its sale price. Page 9 is Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. So for page 10, I have included the income and expense questionnaire. If we flip to page we do have the tenant rental. If you flip to page 18, it just shows the Assiniboine Credit Union, Unit 1038. The lease obviously started in, that's an older one, March 1st, 2009 to, it says lease to February 29th, 2016 at $24. And then right below, there's a base rent step, and then the renewal was March 1st, 2018 to February 28th, 2020 for a rate of $25 for that. And then the rest of the mailer is just other tenants when we applied to the retail strip mall, which you can see on page 3 for this. And my recommendation is to maintain the 2020 assessed value of $1,191,000. Thank you for my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Santucci. Mr. Becker, any questions of the assessor?
Yes, a couple. On page 2, the subject property actually has no access off of Q8, does it?
No, it would have to be through the parking lot at the strip mall.
So the neighboring property, they're both on separate titles?
They are currently.
Okay. The capitalization rate of 5.7. If I turn to your page 8, I don't see anywhere in your study other than apartments that are at 5.7.
I'm guessing it's pulled from the office, again, the suburban B of the 5.5 to 9.05, and again, that is on like obviously the lower end of our cap rates that's applied to this property.
But in the 20 to 80 percentile, there's nothing as low as 5.7.
No.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Marla, any questions of the assessor?
No.
Thank you. Frank, any questions?
No.
Ms. Santucci, what is the location? The cross street? How far up Keewatin are we?
We're north past Inkster. Is that correct, or are we south of Inkster?
Just south.
Okay,
Between-
so it'd just be south. Inkster would be the next intersection north.
So Burroughs at
So between,
Keewatin
yeah,
approximately,
Burroughs
and
and
those strip malls on the other side?
No, it's actually between Kinver. If you go to page 3 of my presentation, there's a site plan. So there's I think it's a Shell service station that,
Oh,
or
okay.
Inkster, and then there's Alphys or
Okay.
something.
Yeah, the pool hall's next door,
Yeah.
then the Shell is north of that,
Yep.
the gas station.
So there's, like there's a Salisbury House kind of in there, so.
No.
It's actually a Dairy Queen now.
There's a
Dairy
Dairy
Queen,
Queen,
there we
a
go.
McDonald's, it's a,
Oh, okay. But we're just south of Inkster Boulevard at Keewatin,
Yes.
on the west side. Okay. Got it, okay. That's my only question, thank you. Mr. Becker, when you're ready.
Okay, if I can turn to page 3 that you were already on, just to show you that The subject property, as I mentioned earlier, when it's being questioned, does not have its own access. It has to be through the neighboring property, and it's just south of Inkster, just north of Kimber. If I could ask the board to turn to page page 6. Under the potential net market income, we are actually using $24 per square foot rent based on the March 1st, 2018 lease. Our vacancy is 2%, our shortfall is 8%, our non-recoverable expenses are 7%, and then the next issue is the capitalization rate. We're not sure where the 5.7 comes from. And for the last go around, this property actually had a 7.25% capitalization rate. So it's dropped from 7.25 to 5.7, which is below the 20 and 80 percentile of the assessment department study. And if I could ask the board to turn to page 13. Under the capitalization rate applied by the assessor is 5.7 in connection with the 2020 assessment. This represents a compression of over 150 basis points from the rate of 7.25 applied in connection with the 2018 assessment. Given the market indicators suggesting that there has been no compression in capitalization rates between April 1/16 and April 1/18, and the fact that the subject has no access unless through a neighboring property, we submit that a rate of 7.25 should be applied in this case. We will apply the rate of 7.25% in our valuation. So if we turn to page 14, this is our valuation. We're using a rent of $24 a square foot, 2% vacancy, 8 shortfall, 7% total for non-recoverables, and a 7.25% capitalization rate. We come up with a value of $961,000 rounded. Page 17 shows the assessor's workup at the 5.7% cap rate. Page 19, this property did go to the board in 2000 for the 2018 reassessment, and the value is reduced, and the decision is based on the adjusted net operating income and a 7.25% cap rate. So we're suggesting a rent of 24, 7% non-recoverables, and a 7.25 cap for a April 1, 2018 value of $961,000. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Yeah, bear with me 1 second, sorry, Ms. Santucci. I'm just doing this. Okay, all right. Ms. Santucci, any questions of the appellant?
I just wanted to confirm that the 7.25% capitalization rate, that was determined by the board or possibly by Altus, but it wasn't the original model-derived cap rate that the city used.
Not if it's mentioned here.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I was just curious about, so it says the net, you used the rent in place as of March 1st, 2018, and then on the mailer they sent us on my page 18, they do have it listed as 25.
Yes.
Is that correct? I'm just wondering
Yeah,
if it
no,
maybe
that's,
it was.
that's correct. I didn't see that on.
Okay.
I had 24.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's just my questions. Like that.
Thank you. Brent, any questions of the appellant?
No question.
Thank you.
No questions.
Okay, so, Mr. Becker, so the actual lease is $25 per
Yes, I
square
didn't
foot?
see the step up at the bottom down there.
Okay. Based on that information, any revision required?
Not really, because of the age, and if you look at the table of comparable rents submitted by the assessor, the 24 was used on their, in their brief as well as the comparable rent. Page, on page 6 of the assessor's brief, it's listed at the very bottom, but they've used March of 16, and I've used, no, I'm not revising.
Okay. And, okay, so the assessor actually used 2233, or the model came up with 2233?
Yes, our
Square foot?
overall, based
Yes.
on,
Yeah,
Yes.
overall, okay,
we didn't use for the property, the
yeah,
lease in place.
okay. And we're 1.5 points different in the cap rate. Okay. Last year's was. Okay, that's all my questions. Any requirement for summary? Mr. Becker, okay, that concludes 10:30 Waiting. And the last property on the docket is 1335 Jefferson Avenue. We are dealing with the 2020 Realty Appeal. Ms. Santucci, when you are ready, please.
Thank you. This is roll number 050045655500, address 1335 Jefferson Avenue. Again, this is a bank. There's 2 stories to this bank. The actual year built is 2001. The gross floor area is 10,456 square feet, which is the same as the leasable. If you flip to page 2, you can see some aerial shots just showing that where the bank is situated at 7 Jefferson in the Maples area, that it's 2 stories there. Page 3 just shows another aerial shot and some exterior photos. Page 4 just shows the request for income information, and then a sale, which we haven't taken into consideration for the valuation today. On page 5, I have the income workup for the bank, which shows the leasable area as 10,456 square feet. The rent we've applied is the $25.72. We've applied a 2% vacancy loss, 2% expenses, and a 6.55% overall capitalization rate for a capitalized overall value of the $3,918,000. On page 6, I have my rent comparables. Again, the average is the $26.82. And it is a newer bank due to some like comparables. So we have one bank that was built the same actual built year, which is comparable 14 at $31 a square foot. Then we have one comparable 6 was built in 2007, which is a newer one at $32 a square foot. And then the next closest comparable would probably be one that was built in the 90s, which would be like the comparable number 2. Actually, you're about $19.90, $27. And then for page 7, just my income value summary. Page 8 is just, again, my capitalization rates. Page 9, Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. And then for page 10 is just the 2017 income and expense questionnaire. After that, page 13 just confirms it's owner occupied, there's no tenants. And page 15 just again shows it's owner occupied. There's 45 parking stalls. And my recommendation is to maintain the 2020 assessed value of $3,918,000. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Santucci. Mr. Becker, any questions of the assessor?
Yes. Your comparables that you use for your rent. Excuse me, you mentioned number 2, which was built in 1990.
Yeah.
That's part of a major shopping center.
Yes,
Okay, you mentioned number 16 was built in 93, I think. Was that what did you mention?
yes,
And that's also part of a shopping center.
yes.
201 Portage is part of a shopping center. I'm sorry, Comparison number 14, 3260 Portage, that's part of a shopping center.
Yes, Una City.
And those are all one-story properties, right?
From my understanding, they're, yeah, all one story.
Okay, and is there usually an adjustment for second floor rents or basement areas?
For basement areas, we would reflect different rent. For second floor, I think what we've done here is we've just included total leasable and applied one.
Okay. Comparison number 4, that's on Empress, that is, that's newer and it is a 2-story.
Yes, that one is.
Okay, and then the one below it, 230 Portage, is an older one downtown, that's 2-story.
Yes, that one is the 2-story.
And we go down to number 10, it's an older one, it's 1989, and it's also 2-story, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Bitker. Brent, any questions of the assessor?
No questions.
Thank you. Marla?
No questions.
Thank you. My only question, Ms. Santucci, is location. Are we west of McPhillips on Jefferson?
We are, we're right near Maples Collegiate,
Okay.
from my understanding, so we would be, yeah, west of McPhillips. And then there's just like, there's a shop, a bit of a shopping center, grocery store,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
south of the property.
I see, it's Addison Drive in Jefferson. Yeah, okay, good. So we're west of McPhillips, okay. That is my only question. Mr. Bitker,
Okay.
you are ready.
All right, just page 3. The subject consists of a 2-story bank building, retail offices on the main floor, office on the second floor, located at 1335 Jefferson. It's at the corner of Jefferson and Addison. It was built in 2001, and it's in the Maples. We understand that the main floor area is 5,712 square feet, and that the second floor office space is 4,744 square feet, and that the land is 43,560 and is zone C2. I can ask the board to turn to page 5. In the middle under market rent, the assessors applied 2,572 square feet to the entire leasable area. We have looked at the following couple of leases. We have one in Pembina that was built in 1996, 4,500 square feet. It had a March 16 rent of $27. We have the one on Q8 that we just dealt with. It has a March 18 rent of $25. Not the 24 that I have here, because it did, from Ms. Santucci's information, it stepped up to 25. And the third one we have is a 2-story plus basement bank on Pembina Highway, built between 1952 and 1995, and it has an August 15 rent of $19.83. We have the subject property is newer than the comparisons, but is not on a major thoroughfare. Based on the comparisons, we feel that a fair market rent would be $28 on the main and $14 on the second, for an overall rent of $21.65. The subject has been assessed with a 2% vacancy allowance, which we will be using in our presentation. Page 6, we're agreeing with the assessor's shortfall rate of $8, and we are asking for 7% non-recoverable expenses. On the cap rates, we could go to page 12. The subject property capitalization rate applied by the assessor is 6.55 in connection with the 2020 assessment. This represents a compression of close to 100 basis points from the 7.5 applied for the 2018 assessment. And the 6.55 is at the very low end of the assessor's cap rates. They use 6.75 for a Class B. For suburban Class B, they're using 6.2. We feel that, based on the location, it's right in the middle of sort of a residential area. On one corner is Maples Collegiate, the other corner is Shell. Across the street on Addison is residential housing. To the east of it is residential apartments, and to the south there's a strip mall that used to have a Sobeys, used to have an A&W, and they're all gone. Not exactly sure what's in the grocery store right now, or what was a restaurant, but it hasn't had a lot of success. And we're using a 7.5% capitalization rate. Page 13 is my workup. As mentioned previously, 28 on the main, 14 on the second, 2% vacancy, 8% shortfall, that should say 7% non-recoverables, 7%, 7.5 cap is a value of $2,728,000. The rest is just presentations from the last go around, and that's my, I'm open for questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Becker. Ms. Santucci, any questions of the appellant?
Just to confirm, so it's the same, you're using the same cap rate as you used in 2018? There's been no, you said there was no,
No compression.
no compression, okay. And the value that was for 18, it was a rec. For, let me just find it here, $3,090,000. The requested 2020 assessment today is 12% lower than the 2018 value. Did Altus appeal that to the municipal board?
I don't know.
That's all my questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Santucci. Brent, any questions of the appellant?
No questions.
Thank you. Marla?
No questions.
Okay, just questions arising from the questioning by the assessor. So the 2018 was revised to $3,098,000, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that was based on your workup?
No, the assessors,
The assessors, okay.
page 21.
So that was the assessor's workup, okay. Was that a rec or was that just, it was confirmation?
It was a rec.
It was a rec, okay. And 7.5, okay.
The difference between my value and that is that I used a lower rent.
Yeah, okay. And,
For the 18, it was 30 on the main and 18 on the second, and
yeah.
I thought that was high.
And is there a pending immunity board on this?
I don't know,
There is.
Okay. And last question, Mr. Becker, you do make it differentiate between main and upper floor and the rent rate, 50% off.
Yeah.
If it's one economic unit, a bank, why do you reduce second?
Well, if you were to treat it as not a bank, not value in use, and say somebody wanted to rent it as an office space, the main floor rents usually command a higher. And plus, it's like retail on the main with it being a bank,
Okay,
so it'd be different finish than the second floor. And in the open market, if it was out there for lease, say an office building, I don't think it would get the same on the second as it would on the main.
okay.
We've always, well, we have, like, I have anyway, usually given a different rate for the second floor.
Yeah, so if somebody, if it was to be offered for lease, there would be a blended rate, is that what you're saying, for main and second floor?
If it was a single tenant,
Yeah, yeah, okay. And there's no basement in here?
no.
It's on surface foundation, okay. All right. Okay, any requirement for a summary? Ms. Santucci, Mr. Becker? Okay, that concludes 1335 Jefferson Avenue, and that concludes our hearing. Thank you both for appearing.
Not that due to rain delay.
Yeah.